involving the child shooting?
Yes, so again, we're still in communication with Guam Police Department, and as you know, the damages on Guam, so it's it's a matter of priorities, right? It's another department, so they have their own list of priorities for examination of evidence. So until we get the results of that, then definitely we'll release the findings.
So GPD is the one conducting the
Examination.
review.
Yes, so GPD is because they have the crime lab, and clearly we don't have that capability here. So we're working with GPD, and again, it's I haven't been to Guam, but based on my conversation with the chief, the personnel too are recovering. Actually, there's a lot of mess around, and they're rebuilding back, and which is perfect, right? Because this is the effort, the relief effort that we're putting together as with several departments, and so. But once we finalize the results of the examination, we will release it. I know this people really want it. There's a lot of people thinking that they can do the analysis on paper, but we can't. We want to make sure that we're careful, and we let the science reveal the actual weapon that was used and who owns the weapon.
Okay, on our end, is there any new updates from the
Oh,
investigation?
with the investigation, so the investigation honestly is moving forward. So it's moving forward. We're in communication with the Attorney General's office too. So that's the collaboration that we need to maintain, because part of the criminal investigation process is to keep the prosecutor informed of our progress too.
Chief, is the circumstance really complicated that we can't distinguish early on whether or not it was a service firearm or a regular firearm? Were they in separate rooms, the same room? Can you just shed some light? Because if the ballistic report is going to take an uncertain time, then what do we know from the facts of the case so far?
So from the facts of the case, we know, right? So we know there were adults, right? And it's at a residence, right? So it's a private home. There are adults too at right that own the private home, and there are weapons in the home. So since just to kind of put people at ease, again we cannot just manually look at the weapon and say which one shot the bullet, right? That eventually injured a child. Okay. What clearly looks like is the weapons more, and that's the most important part, is a gun was not properly stored, and a child was injured in the process. Okay, the law is very clear for gun owners. You clear the weapon, meaning no bullets in the chamber. For pistols, remove the magazine and lock it, right? So that one, that's exactly what we're trying to prevent. And we were looking at the way the law was written many years ago. This was anticipated when the Gun Weapons Control Act came into effect, which allowed we went to a limited number of caliber from 223, 2.22, and 410 to anything short of a 50 caliber weapon, right? So that's that's part of gun ownership. But for people that are listening and the entire community, please clear the weapon, lock it, and secure it away, because kids are curious, and out of curiosity, they will touch a weapon and figure what it is, and they're not at age to handle a weapon.
So did the service member do that? Did the officer do that? Did he store his gun away?
So did he do that? That's part of the investigation, because again, the challenging part is that same caliber weapons were in the house, right? So same caliber that were issued is another caliber in the house. So that's what not necessarily complicates it. That's why we cannot just outrightly say it was your weapon or it was yours. If both of you have the same caliber weapon and a projectile hit a child, we have to let the science figure out ballistically which weapon fired the shot.
Just to clarify, the other weapons at the house has been recently fired too? Is that what you're trying to tell us? That it's so hard to kind of like clarify?
No. See, that's with the ballistics. Really, we can just state that it was from X weapon and not Y weapon, right? but it's the same caliber. So if you weren't any other, there were no other weapons, it's clearly it would be a service weapon, right? But if there's another similar caliber weapon in the household, yeah, I would.
But we can see it, like if it's fired or not.
No, not necessarily, right? Unless you're as good as a canine to sniff which weapon has been fired and not. Since people here fire weapons, they go to gun ranges. If they don't clean the weapon, it would be right. You have residue from the last time they went to a firing range, right? So again, we do not want to speculate or jump into conclusions. We want the evidence to follow and the facts to actually lead to what it will become, which is if there's a clear violation of the law, then the Attorney General's office is prepared to prosecute.
Can you confirm whether or not there is a law enforcement officer in the home?
Yes,